Hey YouTube, Joeboy here. Alright guys, today we have an absolutely insane theory. We will know whether this is right or wrong very soon. That's not really important because it's a cool idea that incorporates a concept that I don't know if it will ever come up again. But it could now, and that's exciting. So that's our vague teaser. Let's begin. I think that where we are currently in the story of One Piece, one of the most exciting things is the uncertainty about where we go from here and how. At this point, it appears as if the battle against the Yonko Kaido and Big Mom, at least momentarily, is over. So we can start turning our attentions to what's next. The Straw Hats could go a lot of places and it would make sense. I saw somebody mention to me, it's like, well, this is where potentially Oda could flex some serious creativity. Not just in where we go and where he decides for the Straw Hats to go, but how they get there. I want to be clear that many things could happen after this arc. Nothing is set in stone, it's all open-ended. But I believe that if you asked most people, they would tell you that they think that ELBAF is next. And I would say that that makes the most sense to me as well. As of right now in the story, we're getting closer and closer to Luffy becoming the Pirate King and finding the true history, finding the One Piece. And of course, this is tied with finding the legendary island Laugh Tale. It was established in Zou that in order to find the One Piece, or in order to follow along Roger's footsteps, you needed to find the 4 road poneglyphs. There's obviously some things from this arc which still need to happen, but as of right now in the story, the Straw Hats have found 2 road poneglyphs. One existed in Big Mom's territory in Whole Cake Island, and the other was found in Zou. It was also stated by Nekomamushi and later confirmed by Big Mom that Kaido has another road poneglyph. So after this arc, you would expect that the Straw Hats would possess 3. The location of the 4th is a mystery, and it is very likely that the journey for this 4th mysterious road poneglyph will be an integral part of the journey to come, and be found on some island that the Straw Hats visit. But there is some curiosity with this 4th road poneglyph, because in the flashback in WANO, in Kozuki Oden's flashback, we can see that Fishman Island used to possess a road poneglyph, and it was located right beside the message from Joy Boy. 2 poneglyphs side by side. But in the present day, as we obviously visited Fishman Island and Robin stood before Joy Boy's poneglyph, the road poneglyph is now missing. It has been moved. But by whom and to where, the answer to this is not revealed. One of the things that's tricky with this 4th road poneglyph is almost immediately after Roger was executed, obviously after he discovered the road poneglyph in Fishman Island and then found the One Piece, when he was executed, he inspired this great age, this golden age of piracy. And as all of these individuals flooded into the Grand Line and began this adventure, Fishman Island acted as a choke point between paradise and the New World. Almost everybody, if not everybody, has to pass through Fishman Island. This event has actually been discussed on several occasions as we visited Fishman Island. It was a time of terror for the people of Fishman Island, where pirates ran amok and the island itself was in danger. And so it required Whitebeard to sort of step in, put his flag down, and promise to punish anybody who did anything to that island and protect its people. This was not a threat beforehand, but it became one. And the idea of this became relevant again after Whitebeard died, where somebody else needed to step in and protect the island because it is a choke point. The impression that I get is that before Roger did this, the total number of pirates was significantly less. And a lot of the people that would have been pirates or sailed at this time weren't necessarily looking for anything. But this all changed. It became a treasure hunt with a lot of players. So all of this is a very long way of saying that it is incredibly likely that the poneglyph in Fishman Island would have been found. In my opinion, it's actually kind of distinctly obvious compared with the other poneglyphs that we presume probably never moved. For instance, the road poneglyph in Zou. Even with the Great Age of piracy, it still would be incredibly hard to find it because you have a powerful kingdom of Minks who are very clearly trying to hide this poneglyph's existence, with the added boon of Zo being difficult to find in the first place. I think that the same thing is true in WANO. The borders have been closed. It's not an easy island to infiltrate, to get in, and you have strong people guarding it and or hiding it anyway. So I think that it's important to clarify that these are my assumptions. The Zo Road poneglyph hasn't moved. The WANO Road poneglyph hasn't moved. Then you're left with Big Mom's Road poneglyph and this fourth mysterious one. This is conjecture, it's my opinion, but I don't think that Big Mom was the one to take Fishman Island's Road poneglyph. That is not the one that we have already discovered. Because until recently in the story, Big Mom has no real overt connection to the island. So Big Mom found her Road poneglyph somewhere else. So the poneglyph that we haven't found is this one that was previously in Fishman Island. Now, who would have taken it? And why did they move it? And where did they move it? The interesting thing with this Fishman Island Road poneglyph is that we know several characters that currently exist within the story or in the past who potentially had motivation, an ability to move it before anyone else discovered it. I think that if Big Mom or Kaido took this Road poneglyph, that we would find it in one of their territories. So Big Mom would have 2 Road poneglyphs, or Kaido would have 2 Road poneglyphs, so I'm ignoring them. I think that Whitebeard didn't care, so Whitebeard did not take it. I think that it's possible that the world government confiscated it, but I'm choosing to ignore this possibility because I like another one more. To cut to the chase here, I think that one of the Roger pirates may have purposely moved the Road poneglyph in order to hide it. He purposely began the great age of piracy, he invited people under the seas to go find his treasure, and then he moved the easy-to-find, most obvious Road poneglyph somewhere less so, for the sake of the journey. And I think that Roger had several examples of poneglyphs that were placed in appropriate locations to remain hidden. Zo is a great example, placed with a people that have been charged to protect it, an island that is difficult to find, with strong fighters. The same is true in WANO. Difficult to find, hard to get to, strong fighters, and friends there who are charged with protecting it. I think then a natural location, a natural hiding place, a safeguard for the Road poneglyph is in ELBAF with the Giants, which is in fact the last great tribe hyped up island full of strong fighters that we have yet to visit. And of course, ELBAF has been promised in the story, probably even before WANO itself. We have a line from Usopp. He says, "I would love to visit ELBAF one day." And he has a very strong connection to giants. We know, right? We know, no matter how the arc ends up being or what Oda's vision for it is, we're going to visit it at some point in time. So concluding this arc, I assume that we will have 3 Road poneglyphs. 1 is left. It makes sense to me that the next major arc, the next island that we visit is ELBAF, where we acquire the 4th Road poneglyph, leading to a journey for Laughdale. In addition to this, something that a lot of people have speculated, and now seems an appropriate time to speculate it again, Big Mom is probably not done in the story. There's still a lot of things left with her crew and herself. And Big Mom also has a very strong past history and connection with the Giants. If Big Mom remains in the story and her journey continues, it would make sense for that to also lead us to ELBAF. So this concludes our list of palatable speculations, which probably won't be too disagreeable, so that when we get to the end and it's weird, at least part of this video is useful. So this is a really old theory that actually predates seeing WANO at all, but an idea that people have had that would make a lot of sense is ELBAF is spelled fable backwards, so you expect that kind of feel for the arc, almost like a fable, with lots of little unbelievable stories and or phenomenons of some sort. And so people wondered whether Oda would tie Jack and the Giant Beanstalk into the story of ELBAF in some way. If you don't know Jack and the Giant Beanstalk, Jack climbs a giant beanstalk, and at the very top of it he finds a giant. People, myself included, interrelate this with what we find in the Sky Islands. In Skypiea, there's a beanstalk-like thing called Giant Jack. So before we even got a glimpse of ELBAF from Big Mom's flashback, there were speculations that maybe ELBAF existed at the top of the giant beanstalk, Giant Jack. The idea essentially is that Giant Jack is a plant that probably grows from the surface of the blue planet. It is an incredibly tall tree, or a vine that surrounds an incredibly tall tree. So essentially, somewhere in the world of One Piece, there is a plant, a tree, Giant Jack, something that is so tall it stretches into the Sky Islands. It makes sense if it's a beanstalk type thing to have branches. These branches extend along the sky world, through sea cloud and through island cloud, so that it makes sense that when the strats are blown up into the sky from Jaya to where Skypiea is, you find a branch of what is connected to a very, very large plant, with its roots located somewhere else. And then we actually have Big Mom's flashback, and we see ELBAF, and out of the corner of the panel, you see an incredibly tall, what appears to be a tree. It's mostly in shadow, but you can see it pretty distinctly. This also relates to theories that combine the giants of ELBAF with Norse mythology. From Norse mythology, you have Yggdrasil, the world tree. And in Norse mythology, various worlds or civilizations exist at various points of the tree, from its roots to its branches to the very top. At the very top of the world tree, Yggdrasil, is Asgard, the land of the gods. If you watch Thor, right, Asgard, all of this should make sense to you. Of course, this is all based on Norse mythology. We're not going to get into all the details of it, but it's very clear that Oda was inspired with the giants to be influenced by Norse mythology, Viking culture. They represent that. I think that the tree that we see in ELBAF shadowed is Yggdrasil. It may also be Giant Jack, or Giant Jack may simply be a vine that grows around it. We then speculate that the tree extends all the way up so high into the sky that it connects with the Sky Islands. Side note, an additional speculation is that the tree in One Piece is not called Yggdrasil. If it is separate from Giant Jack, it is called Treasure Tree Adam, something mentioned by Frankie, the wood for which is used to create the Thousand Sunny and the Roger pirate ship, aka the Oro Jackson. It would make sense for the Strats to encounter Treasure Tree Adam at some point in time, so you've tied off a lot of things at once. Presuming that this tree can be climbed, and I think that that's a fair assumption, then the speculation is that there are potentially giants that live at the bottom in the village of ELBAF, and there's giants that live elsewhere, potentially at the top of the tree, kind of like Giant Jack. Climb the tree, giants at the top, that's Asgard, the land of the gods, where you might find somebody like Loki, the king of the giants. And maybe some additional foreshadowing that there might be a tree that is tall enough or some other way that leads all the way up to the Sky Islands. Gonfall foreshadows that he's very surprised that the Strats managed to arrive to Skypiea via the knock-up stream, because there's actually a more common, a normal way to reach the Sky Islands, and he calls this the Summit of High West. So there's some way in the world of One Piece in which it is normal to reach the Sky Islands. So if there was a giant tree that you could climb, it would make a lot of sense to me. So now we have what I hope is an exciting conclusion of all of these ideas. Oda has an option available to him if he wants ELBAF to be the next island. How will the Strats escape from the world government, from the various forces that potentially could harm them? I think the most straightforward way in which anybody could see this happening is, they just defeat the world government or whatever, or run away and simply find a log pose or know where to sail to reach the next island on their log pose, which may be ELBAF. This is how they travel to almost every single island, so if this happened, it would be not surprising, and it would also be relatively tame. Personally, I think that some of the strongest world building and magical and fantastic moments in the story of One Piece is when crazy things need to happen in order for the Strats to travel to their next location. You can think about climbing Reverse Mountain. I think that in the New World, things like getting to Wano and getting to Zou and even Fishman Island to a certain extent, all are relatively similar in their feeling as climbing Reverse Mountain. But there is one example in the story which stands head and shoulders above all others as the most exciting way for the Strats to reach their next island, and very surprising, that creates a sense of wonder like no other. And that was when they traveled on Knock-Up Stream to reach Skypiea. I've always had it in my mind that there is no conceivable way that Oda could ever top this kind of moment ever again. But it's possible I was wrong. So here's what you need to know. It's been pointed out to us. It is a Easter egg detail in the story that Wano, potentially more than any other island, contains sea stone. Basil Hawkins actually says in Wano that sea stone originates from Wano. And I suspect that this detail in one form or another will become relevant soon because, as you know from recent chapters, Kaido and Big Mom were thrust through the crust of Wano to magma down below. And if you look at Wano's design, you can see that Wano is essentially a giant volcano with some land that grows in the center. And once again, from recent chapters, it appears as though this volcano is about to explode. Or at least it could. Potentially bringing sea stone from elsewhere to the surface. I could see something like this occurring. But I kind of want to make it crazy. And I want to give a shout out to Yahweh on Twitter, a good friend of mine, who reminded me of this little detail from the story of One Piece so that we could take it to some ridiculous extreme. A very low-key and unused Easter egg that was revealed in Skypiea is that there is a particular compound in sea stone called pyrobloin, or pyrobloin. This compound, we're told, is ejected into the air by volcanic eruptions, and then when it comes into contact with water vapor, it creates both sea cloud and island cloud, which you find and creates the Sky Islands. Currently in Wano, there is about to be a volcanic eruption. Wano is the place where sea stone originates from, and most likely contains more sea stone than any other place. We see a depiction of what is currently happening in Wano. Little cracks are forming between where you see the magma bubbling up and then ejecting higher up through the water into the island of Wano itself. Through these cracks, you see the magma interact with water. As far as we know, these are the precise conditions necessary for the formation of the Sky Islands. We speculated that ELBAF is the next island. We speculated that ELBAF is connected to the Sky Islands via Yggdrasil, Treasure Tree Atom, and Giant Jack. The theory is that the Strats reach ELBAF or reach the Giants, as the island cloud, which is currently being created, floats up and takes them there, potentially with the island of Wano itself, thus protecting it from the threat of the world government, who is awaiting the victor of this battle. Simultaneously, if Big Mom still remains on this island along with her family, it would allow Big Mom to continue to be in the story and interact with the Giants, where her story will end. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much my theory. I know that it's unorthodox from what a lot of people expect, because ELBAF is not actually at the top of the tree, because we see the island or the village of ELBAF. So the way that this would work, if you started from the top, from floating up, keep in mind that we're pretty close probably to the island of ELBAF itself, so we'd be much closer to the trunk of the tree if that is a thing. And so, you know, you start at the top and you actually meet Loki before you travel down to the bottom to the village of ELBAF, which is kind of weird. We'd also have some questions about how does this work? Is Wano literally going to float up? Does that work with opening the borders? Although Momonosuke said that he didn't want to open the borders, does that matter? Bear in mind that Oden actually said that he wanted to open the borders of Wano before the day that Joy Boy appeared. So if we assume that Joy Boy Luffy has appeared here, the borders of Wano were not actually already open, so it makes all of this a little bit more confusing. Or is it simply going to be that Island Cloud is formed kind of at random, and think about how Momonosuke produces clouds that he climbs, or Kaido as well. So this just starts forming and maybe takes the Thousand Sunny, it starts rising and they have to get on the ship and float away. Or you could even see the volcano erupt and literally push the island up with the sea cloud as well. You know, however it is that you want to take this, I just think, boiled down to its simplest term, the pyro blowing has not come up in the story at all. The formation of Island Cloud and Sea Cloud is interesting, and I couldn't really see this playing a role in any other way. And it could potentially lead to a moment, the only moment that would ever rival the knockup stream. But I'll leave the creative decisions to your imagination and Oda. That's the theory. But yeah, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this one. It's been a long time since we've done theory videos. As always, I'm curious as to what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video, subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.